I'm a terrible leader.
Join the club, buddy.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Recap Review. Today we're looking at set number 8939, Lesovikk. The set contains approximately 149 pieces, was released in summer of 2007, and at time of release was approximately $20. Now last time I said a set was a set exclusive, I got a lot of folks telling me that it was only an exclusive in the United States and their home country. It was actually just kind of a free roaming set. There wasn't anything special or exclusive about it. So I'm going to preface this by saying, for all I know, this is only a Walmart exclusive in the United States of America. So right here, that's how I know it. It was an exclusive here, may not be in other countries. So thank you to everyone who told me about that, by the way. I had no idea. The other thing is, Lesovikk is the only set from Generation 1 of Bionicle, or Generation 2 so far, that I am currently aware of that got recalled from store shelves because of a missing piece. Now, I'm not too sure which piece it was. I honestly have no idea. I did a little bit of research and I came up with pretty much nothing, but I would bet it's something along here. Like it's a piece from this assembly right down here. But I honestly have no idea. If any of you guys know, I'd love to find out. That sounds very interesting. So with all that out of the way, let's get right into the disclaimer. Right off the bat, any pro or con that you hear that you hear me say in this video does not necessarily mean it is my opinion. A pro or a con is here because of one of two reasons. Either one, it's an opinion that the community has held for several years since the set has been released, and I'm just reiterating it here. Or two, this is a pro or a con that I can personally replicate and have observed on hand. So unless you explicitly hear me say, hey, this is a pro or a con and this is my opinion, then don't assume that it is. That out of the way? Great. Thanks. Let's get on to the review. Story-wise, Lesovikk is part of the first TOA team to ever be created. He's one of the first TOA team leaders. And during an expedition, a trip that this TOA team was on, they all died thanks to his hesitation. So unfortunately, his entire TOA team got wiped out, and he got pretty guilty about that, so he didn't follow TOA code, yada yada yada. He's sulking. So that's Lesovikk. Let's get on to the review. Right off the bat, we see this has two contraptions in one. It has the TOA and the machine. So let's look at them both real fast. Pros and the cons. Pros. This is a 2-pack set. There are two things in here. You're getting a TOA with a bunch of recolors, and you're getting the actual vehicle itself, which is an interesting contraption. So that's always nice to see. Another pro would be it looks cool. We haven't gotten a set quite like this since 2003, at least from what I can recall right now, with Takanuva and the Usanui. So it's kind of neat to see that almost upgraded in a way. It's very similar in design, in the look at least. So that pretty much wraps it up for the general pros and cons for this set. There aren't a whole lot of cons here. Two sets for the price of pretty much just one. It's always nice. It's just really nice. Some people may not like the color combination though. So there's that. So let's get right on to the review, starting off with Lesovikk. And here we have the rejected TOA himself. Now obviously Lesovikk is nothing special. He's a pretty standard Anika Paraka torso build. But we're going to get into this review anyway, whether or not he's standard. Starting off with the pros. Right off the bat, we have got a lot of really fantastic recolors. By a lot, I really mean a few. And by a few, I only mean a couple. His mask, the Kanohi Faxon, the Mask of Kindred, is in lime now, and that looks fantastic. Recolors are always really nice to see, especially when they come after their default color. So we got it in lime, which is great for mocking. We also have the Paraka torso in lime, which is also really cool to see. But, it's lime. Thankfully, these parts don't really have joints, but we'll get into that in a sec. Some other recolors that are notable here, we have the Anika armor right here in solid Metro Green, but we also got that in Kangumari. we have the black kind of tube thing here, but we also got that in Matoramari. And we also have the silver Pridak blade, which we also got in Hydraxon. So we all have these from somewhere else, but we have them all in this set here, which is not a bad deal. So as far as Lesovikk's pros and cons, well, let's continue. Standard pros, the standard articulation. He's got 3 in the arms, 3 in the legs, and 1 in the head. So that's excellent. Some other pros would be, he's not entirely simplistic. He's not entirely basic. Because he does use quite a, I want to say unique chest armor. It is unique. Whether or not it's good, that's another thing entirely. So there's something there. Now the pro is that he can attach this weapon to his back. He can store this air sword, from what I recall it being called, on his back, which is pretty fantastic. Weapon storage is always a really good thing. As far as I'm aware, it goes in his left hand. It's one of the first few left-handed Toa, isn't it? I don't know. I may be getting this wrong. But it kind of goes like that, and you got his sword right there. So that looks pretty cool. Looks really menacing. Unfortunately, that's pretty much it for the pros. There aren't a whole lot. They're good, don't get me wrong. Lesovikk is still, as solid as the Anika Paraka build can be. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. There's just not a whole lot different from him than other Toa. So let's get on to the cons. Standard cons, unfortunately. But we do have a couple of unusual ones. He's got these shoulder pauldrons here, and like Matoramari, they flip-flop. And, sometimes they won't come down. That's kind of unfortunate. Some people are not going to like his red eyes, but we've gotten reddish eyes with the Toa of Air before, specifically Mato Metru. He is a very standard Anika Paraka build. If you don't like this, you're not going to like this now. By this point in time, in 2007, we've already gotten very accustomed to the Anika Paraka build, so we already know how it works, what it's like. It's boring now. Speaking of which, his proportions could be considered a con. He's very lanky, like very lanky. His arms are the same length as his legs, meaning his hands go well below his knees, and not a lot of people like that. His torso armor isn't really torso armor per se, it's more like a claw on his chest, and that does inhibit to a degree his head movement, downward at least. Side to side still works, and up of course. People may not like the blue pins, however some may argue that it coincides with his visor being blue. And of course, let's get the elephant out of the room, lime joints. They are very fragile, you can probably see a breakage occurring right there. And they're very loose. Over time, they will become very loose, and you can basically turn him into a ragdoll. And they will break, obviously. So be careful of that, due to a production error of these specific joints. But that's about it. That's Lesovikk. Like I said, there's not a whole lot to him. He's not necessarily the worst, but he isn't the best either. There's nothing overtly unique about Lesovikk. But that covers the Toa. Let's get on to the Sea Sled. Alright, did I do that right? I don't know. So here we have the Sea Sled, and this is Lesovikk's vehicle, of course. It looks kind of cool. It looks very Star Wars speeder-ish. Kind of like it's on a desert planet, it's just going around. Story-wise, this is some vehicle that Lesovikk has, or had, and it can go on land and underwater, which is pretty useful. Amazing how that works. So let's jump right into the review for this thing. Pros. It's a unique design. It is very fun to build, and it's atypical, of course. It's also asymmetrical, or asymmetric. Is that right? Asymmetric? I'm not sure. But it is not the standard build, so you're going to have a lot of fun with it, especially because it's more Technic-based, which is fantastic. Now the pro would be the use of pieces. I really like, personal opinion time, I really like how this set uses its parts. The Jalamari blades looks really cool and streamlined. The Mantax shoulder armor, also a really cool kind of control panel thing. I like that curve. And I also do like how they use these pieces here, these Matoramari blades. So, that's nice. Now the pro would be the 2 functions. Obviously, the feet can do this, and you can kind of swoosh it around. But if you want it to stand still, these flip out, and that stays like that. Not as simple as, say, the Usanui, because you have to flip them out individually. Think more Nadiki. But it still works, and that's nice to see. And the other function would be the Kodak Blaster. We've got these 3 additional rounds here, of course, and those go here. This almost looks like it's trying to be a laser sight, but I know it's not. And you take these 2 fingers and this thumb, take the Kodak blaster, which is on a swivel, which is really cool, and you hope for success. So when it works, Kodak blaster works, and it's a nice addition. It's not a bad blaster, especially on a vehicle. It is in its prime when it's either shoulder mounted or on a vehicle. So it's really well done here. That pretty much covers all of the pros for this thing, at least the ones that I can think of. You guys may have more, of course. But let's get on to the cons. The cons obviously would be some gaps. We have some gaps here. These kind of splay out a little bit. The gaps right over here as well. Some people may not like the metallic color scheme. It's a rather dull color scheme consisting primarily of silver, gray, and black. Of course, there are red accents to it, the red here, and it really works with the Kodak blaster. Kodak blaster blends in very nicely, which is really great to see. It's always fantastic when the blaster can blend with the rest of the set. Blue pins, of course. People may not like the blue pins. However, some may argue it coincides with Lesovikk's visor. And, of course, before I get some very particular and incredibly nitpicky flack for this, yes, these are open axles, and some people may not like the open axles or the open pins. Alright, we good? We're good. So, that effectively covers this set, this portion of the set. There's not a whole lot that I personally can say. It's gappy, but it's nice. It's a compliment. And it's a solid vehicle. It's not the most complex. It's fairly basic and simple, but it works. So let's get on to the overview. So here we have the rest of the set. The set in total, Lesovikk standing right beside his sea sled. How does it stack up? Overall, I guess it's just average. Personally speaking, there isn't a whole lot that I can really say that's out of the box, or it's going to wow you, or it's going to just flip the world upside down. There isn't. The sea sled is a rather simple construction for being a vehicle set. It performs admirably at what it needs to do. The color scheme works for it. It blends in nicely with the blaster sitting atop it. And there's not a whole lot necessarily wrong with it. You can swish it around. It's got 2 functions. It works. Lesovikk is a lot like the sea sled, or vice versa, whichever way you're looking at it. He's also fairly basic. There's not a whole lot unique or different or mind-blowing about him. He's a Nika Paraka build. He's got some recolors, and they're lime. That's pretty great. If you like that, that's wonderful. If you don't, that's how it is. There's nothing extraordinarily different about this set that you can't find in other sets that, in some ways, do it better. Is that to say that he's a bad set? Absolutely not. He is what he is. And you either like him or you don't. Would I have made him an exclusive in the United States? Probably not. I don't think he requires that exclusivity, especially not like other sets, like the next one I'm reviewing. But for what he is. So that's Lesovikk. What did you guys think? Do you like Lesovikk? Do you not like Lesovikk? What do you guys think? Again, post your thoughts in the comments below or on the TTV message boards at board.ttvpodcast.com. And please let me know if I missed anything, messed up on anything, or should have mentioned something in the 2 aforementioned places. Thank you all very much for watching, and join me next week when I look over the Tyrant, the Mad King. No, that's Ryan from Rooster Teeth. Karzani. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.